guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is an entitled people story. I had always loved my home, a quaint little house nestled in a quiet neighborhood. It was my sanctuary, my haven from the hustle and bustle of the world outside. But all that changed when a new neighbor moved in next door. At first, I didn't think much of it. I had seen neighbors come and go over the years, some good, some bad. But this neighbor was different. From the moment they moved in, there was something off about them. They would have loud, raucous parties that would go on well into the night, and they seemed to have no regard for anyone else's property, including their own. The real problem started when they began throwing their trash into my yard. At first, it was just a few beer cans and food wrappers, but it quickly escalated into a full-blown dumping ground. I tried talking to the neighbor about it, but they were dismissive and uncaring. They told me to mind my own business and even threatened me when I pressed the issue. That's when I decided to take action. I had a fence built to separate our properties and prevent any more trash from being thrown into my yard. But that didn't stop my neighbor from causing trouble. One day, I came home from work to find that my fence had been burned down. The fire had also spread to my trash cans, which were now destroyed. I was in shock and couldn't believe that someone would do something like this. I immediately called the fire department, who arrived quickly and were able to put out the fire before it caused any more damage. But the damage was already done. My fence was gone, and my trash cans were ruined. I knew that I had to take legal action against my neighbor. I consulted with a lawyer and filed a lawsuit for the cost of the damages. The legal battle was long and frustrating, with my neighbor refusing to take responsibility for their actions and making every excuse in the book. But I was determined to see it through. I had photos of the damage, witness statements, and even surveillance footage of my neighbor setting the fire. It took months of legal wrangling, but in the end, I was victorious. The judge ordered my neighbor to pay for the damages and issued a restraining order to prevent any further incidents. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. A few weeks later, I woke up to find that my car had been vandalized. Someone had keyed the entire length of it, leaving deep scratches and dents all over. I knew in my gut that it was my neighbor, but I had no way to prove it. I filed a police report and installed security cameras around my property. I was vigilant, always on the lookout for any signs of trouble. But for a while, things were quiet. Then, one night, I heard a loud crash outside. I looked out the window to see that my neighbor had smashed one of my windows with a rock. I called the police immediately, and they were able to apprehend the neighbor and take them into custody. It turns out that my neighbor had been struggling with addiction and mental health issues, which had led to their erratic and destructive behavior. They were sentenced to probation and ordered to undergo treatment for their issues. In the end, I was able to repair the damage to my property and move on from the nightmare of dealing with a problematic neighbor. It was a long and frustrating battle, but I learned a lot about perseverance and the importance of standing up for yourself. And who knows, maybe my story will inspire others to do the same when faced with a nightmare neighbor. The next story is titled Don't Let Your Kid Have Consequences? Okay. So, I'm a 23F nanny. For the family I work for there are 7 kids. Yes, 7. All ranging from 14 years old to 10 months old. I have been working for them for 8 months. And never really had an issue. They are a good family for the most part. A key part here is the kids are all homeschooled, so they do not get out a lot. Unfortunately, that leads to mom and dad spoiling them quite a lot. And since I've started had a bit of a discipline issue. They throw tantrums, throw things and scream a lot. Finally, mom recently put on discipline because their tantrums led to me getting an injury. I was pushed down the stairs. So, she implemented a timeout routine. And it was going well for almost everyone. Here is where the story truly begins. The second to youngest at 2.5 almost 3. His tantrums are some of the worst and instead of really disciplining him she coddles. If he screams and yells she just picks him up and gives him whatever he wants. He will also throw things and hit whoever is telling him no. And mom doesn't do anything. On Wednesday this week mom had an appointment and when he woke up from his nap and she wasn't there he freaked out. I tried to calm by playing games, food, or reading books. But nothing worked he just got louder and more aggressive. He even hit me and his siblings. Eventually he woke the baby, and when I got her, tried to even hurt her. So, with no other real options working to calm him down, I pick him up, sit him on his bed and said, "Time out, you do not behave this way. When you calm down you can come out." He finally is calming down after several minutes and mom comes home. She was quite upset that he got a timeout because she says that he is too young and doesn't know better. Now I understand he is young, but I've been a nanny for a while, and I have learned 2 to 3 is normal age for discipline, so they learn to know better. I only do a minute per year age and only goes longer if they can't calm down, though I check in every minute. She was also upset I used his room as a timeout. Now that part one get and can understand that at this age associating timeout with where he sleeps. I can agree we don't do that. But I had to ask, when he's acting like this, what do you want me to do? She said, let me handle it. If I'm not there, give him what he wants. It's not worth the fight. Okay, but what if it's something I can't give? She replied, if you can't just let him go through it, he'll calm down quickly. I looked at her like, are you serious? You do realize how he can be right? But okay. Cue malicious compliance. The next day mom had another appointment, and she was gone when he woke up. And of course, he wanted her and only her. I said, sorry, she's not here, why don't we play a game? He screams no. I ask if he wants a snack. No, he screams and starts slapping at my hands. I ask to go read a book or go to his siblings' room for playtime. He screams again and hit me in the face. I told him, please don't hit me. So, he screams in my face and goes off throwing things at me and everyone around and just goes off. I tell everyone to go to their rooms. I tried everything to calm him down and it didn't work, so I did exactly what she told me. Absolutely nothing. He continues his tirade, throwing things, pulling things off shelves, and screaming. I obviously kept him from things that would hurt him like glass, ceramics, and when he got on a table to push something I picked him up and put him down. Though he did bite me really hard when I did that. Not enough to bleed, but enough to leave a good mark. I let this go for about 15-ish minutes until mom came home. And when she did, he was still freaking out. She just goes, what is going on? I explained the situation and told her I'm just doing what she said and letting him cry it out till he calms down. She said, that's not what I meant. I asked, what did you want? She didn't really have an answer. I told her I couldn't use discipline and I couldn't calm him. You said to let him go, he'd calm down, and he hasn't yet. I made sure anything dangerous was taken away, but I didn't know what else I could do. Now respectively, I could have picked up what he threw around, but I wanted her to see what he was capable of. And I wasn't going to risk getting hurt again from taking things away. She looked upset but didn't say anything and just looked at him, still throwing his tantrum. The baby wakes up and she goes to get her. When she comes back to try and calm him, he screams to pick him up and he hits her and keeps going till she puts the crying baby on the ground and picks him up. I was kind of shocked she fed into it. I told her he's old enough to know what he's doing. He knows that he'll get what he wants when he does these things, and it's only going to get worse. And if it's going to continue, I'm going to continue to do nothing because I won't risk getting hurt or the other kids in the process. I showed her my bite mark and she went pale a bit and said, he did that? I said, yes, he did. She took a breath and said, why don't you go home for the day, and I'll talk to Dad about this. When I came to work this morning, there was a timeout chair for him. And I'm allowed to use it at my discretion. The next story is titled, Mom wanted to live off my income once I graduated. Growing up, my mom had told me she was raising me to be the best child, because she knew I would achieve more. My mom was way harsher on my grades, sports, academic clubs, looks, and personal life than my little brother. I admit I grew up hating my little brother for all the freedom he had, while I was always isolated. I was always grounded. I was working multiple jobs to not only save up for college but help with the family bills. When my brother got a job, he was able to spend the money on what he wanted. My mom told me what my career goal was, what person I should marry, how she will move in with me after I buy my house to raise the children and take care of her. My mom was the type to blow money on designer stuff while we slept in hotels and cars at one point. I hated being poor. All I wanted was a house growing up. A nice house for us. If I dated someone my mom didn't approve, she would do everything to sabotage the relationship, because they were not good enough for me. Welp, I went to law school and was getting my JD when I meet my now current boyfriend. You know, they say when you know you know. Gosh, did we know right away. Moved me in after 3 days and have not been away from each other since. I love his family and they also love me. He was raised upper middle class and had an amazing set of parents. He was also top of the law school and just felt too perfect for me. My mom disagreed. She didn't like him one bit, because anytime she said something to make herself look smart, he called her out and said nope, you're wrong. Provided facts and even showed her sources. Oh, she hates to be proven wrong. I told my boyfriend how my mother raised me and what she expects from me growing up. Well, he wasn't going to have it. He said she would be even lucky to know her grandchildren. My mom started to see her plans unraveling with my new boyfriend and tried to break us up multiple times. When she started make fun of his parents, he drew the line. He called her out and said we were done with her. The panic was real for my mom in this moment. I was her ticket meal. She demanded that I made a choice, my own mother or a man I was only dating for a year. I chose my boyfriend. We have been together for almost 3 years. I dropped from law school and work remotely at an amazing job. He graduated top of his class and was hired immediately. Our income is way above what I expected, and sometimes cry at night for how blessed I feel. Growing up, I always begged to have a home I could call my own. Now we may have a home together in a few years. She will send threats and make up excuses to try to contact me. In order to get back in my life. We plan to get married soon and know we have to keep it really quiet, because she will either call in a threat or try to show up. The next story is titled Closed is Closed. I'm only 16 but work at a local pharmacy, gift shop in my town. The customers are generally pretty chill, older folks. Yesterday was a special exception. We close at 3 on Sundays, and around 2:58 I stand by the door waiting for the all clear to lock the door. There's still a man in the back having trouble filling his prescription, but it all good because he's apologetic, realizing it's nearing close. Well, 3 o'clock rolls around and my boss give me the thumbs up. Usually, if there's someone like the guy in the back, I just wait for him to finish up and unlock the door for him, and that was my plan today. But, as I lock the door, a car comes speeding into the parking lot, and parks right out front. Seeing as we have closed, I know I'm going to have to tell this already pissed off looking old lady that she's going to have to wait till tomorrow. Let her be referred to as RB, Raging Idiot, henceforth. I unlock the door and poke my head out. Me. I'm sorry ma'am, but we just closed. If there's something in particular you're looking for, it possible they have it over in neighboring supermarket. RB. What the hell do you mean you're closed? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Me. Yes ma'am, we close at 3 on Sundays, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. RB. Can't you let me in to get my prescription really quick? At this point, I can tell it's not going to be good. Me. Ma'am, I'm sorry but we have closed and are no longer legally allowed to process prescriptions. You're going to have to wait until tomorrow. RB. What about the man who's in there now? You don't seem to have a problem with him. Let me in. Me. He walked into the store around 2:45 and we are having trouble processing his prescription. As soon as he's done he will be leaving as well. RB. It's only 3:05. Let me in. Me. Closed is closed, ma'am, I'm sorry. At this point I close the door and re-look it, waiting for the man in the back to finish up. RB begins pounding on the door ordering to see my boss. Luckily he and the man just finished up, and they both walk up to the front door. As I unlock it for the man, RB tries to force herself in to get her script. At this point, my boss steps in. B. Miss, I'm sorry but we are closed now. You'll have to come back tomorrow for your prescription. RB. What the hell is wrong with you people? You're denying me my medication. I need it. B. How many doses do you have left? RB. Enough to last through Tuesday but I. B. Great, see you Tuesday. He closes the door in her face, which prompts more shouting. As we leave and lock up the door, she continues screaming at us until we all drive off. She was back today and got her prescription, somehow she survived through the night. The next story is titled Couple Decided to Steal a Deed Parking Space. I work in a place with a deeded garage parking. Had one sweet old lady, I'll call her Granny, who owned a Mini Cooper. Another couple who rented a unit did not have a parking spot, and took to planting their economy car in her spot. When Granny complained, the renters would just say they were entitled because there were so many empty parking places, so Granny could park somewhere else. What the heck do they not get about deeded parking? This continued until the day the sweet old lady decided to be not so sweet. Pulled her car in front of the two renters' car and parked bumper to bumper. Put a note on their car saying, parking in this space is $150 a day. Please leave a check with the concierge. So the two renters showed up at my desk idioting about their car being blocked off and actually expected me to tow Granny's car off. I had to re-explain that deeded parking meant that I could not tow a car from Granny's spot any more than I could rearrange furniture in her apartment. It's her land, she owns it, you abandoned your car on her property, talk to Granny. So after 20 minutes or so of the renters idioting, I called Granny, even though it was early in the morning. She came down to the desk in her housecoat and slippers with her dog in tow. They begged her to move her car. Granny told them it would be $150 bucks, leave the check with the concierge. They kept idioting. Then she told them it would be an extra $50 for waking her up in the morning because they claimed an emergency. Then they asked her how long before she left the garage. Granny told them, "Dearies, I'm retired. I'll leave my spot when I'm ready. And the price just went up to $150 a day, plus $50 for waking me, and that will be in cash. Leave the envelope with the concierge. I'm walking my dog and I'll move my car when I have your rental fee in hand." Not only did the renters not park in her spot, but word got around, and I didn't have to deal with that issue for another 2 years. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.